Hello everyone, how are we doing? Welcome to another Tinfoil Friday. I hope you've had a good week, I hope you're ready to start your weekend, and I hope you're ready to get it kicked off with some foil. We've got some good stuff today. We have Kat Spinda finally saying her piece about the Donald Trump assassination attempt, and a whole bunch more. So it should be fun. Let's see what I missed in chat. Jellyfish, first of all, happy birthday. Hope your birthday is going great. And that might actually be it. Cool beans. If you are on YouTube, do me a favor and like the stream. I'd much appreciate it. From past hand. Oh, wait a minute. Future, fuck you! No, fuck you! No, fuck you! Fuck you. Me from the future, fuck you! Yeah, it'll happen. Alright, let's see what we're gonna do first. I don't know if I want to do Kat Spinda's thing first. I'll do something short first while people continue to come in. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay, we'll start with this. Do 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 do. Boop. Have I seen the Firefox drama? No. I don't use Firefox.
How bad is the situation on planet Earth?
I saw a bunch of shit's fucked up today, but not Firefox.
Much worse than you can possibly imagine. And it's the reason why people ended up looking like this after taking the death.
Oh, fuck off. I hate this guy. He's immediately the worst.
Facts. And it's telling us that we're going to eat bugs. None of this passes the Turing test. These people on television, they don't pass the human test. And that basically means we're dealing with a they live situation.
They live on the bingo card.
Looks like Phil Schneider.
This is chemtrails as well. He's showing these to imply chemtrails, so chemtrails on the bingo card.
Was right. We're dealing with alien technology, posing as human technology. As people
Aliens did it on the bingo card.
People used to say we didn't go from the horse and buggy to where we are now in 150 years.
We did, actually, and it didn't take 150 years to go from horse and buggy to this. You're assuming that the automobile is the beginning of all technology. The entirety of human history happened before that.
Without outside intervention.
What are tinfoil people saying about the Trump shooter now that the info has come out? I mean, if they're tinfoily enough, they just don't believe anything that's come out about it and think the whole thing is a false flag of some kind.
And the fact that these people are starting to look
what do you mean, galaxy of miscellaneous stuff? Vis-a-vis Jeranism?
look like reptilians on the
Hey, Mallow, honey.
television
Reptilians on the bingo card?
is not making the situation better either, to say the least. And so if we're dealing with alien technology, if we're dealing with some kind of alien replacement situation, that means that we're basically finding ourselves in a science fiction movie. And that
Believe sci-fi exists on the bingo card?
makes things very difficult, especially for people that are based in modern reality. How do you deal with a situation like this, ladies and gentlemen? Well, we better figure out a solution. Because not only are they spraying us like bugs and poisoning the food and the air and the water, I mean, they're definitely trying to exterminate us. But they're also
Population control is a motive on the bingo card. Are we gonna get bingo in the first, 5 minutes? If so, impressive.
surrounding us with death towers, weaponized
5G on the bingo card.
technology, basically a Trojan horse pretending to be a cell tower. But these things are weaponized, and people have been hit with these things, they've tasted these things, and the
I can taste the 5G.
information is being censored and suppressed. They don't want you to
Kinda musky.
know that these things are a Trojan horse. They don't want you to know that these things are basically active and targeting people, and that they're in everybody's neighborhoods. They just want to say it's safe and effective, like the vaccine.
It is safe. And so is the vaccine. I literally am bathed in 5G constantly. I have 5G at this house. I'm fine.
As they basically soften you up for the kill. There's no telling what's coming down the pipeline. It might be a feeding frenzy. It might be an all-you-can-eat buffet by the looks of these people. And so we need to start looking beyond the veils. We need to start looking out.
I'm begging conspiracy theorists to understand that when you get older, your skin gets looser. It's the root of a lot of their lizard theories. Captain Squid with 100 bits says, foraging for wild cell phone towers is very dangerous. Only eat ones you buy at the grocery store.
Outside of
That's what the government wants you to think.
the box, if you will, and start thinking about the situation in terms of what's it look like. It looks like an alien invasion.
No, it doesn't! This pisses me off. This is the guy that I don't think is actually a conspiracy theorist, but he uses these videos to target the mentally ill and people who are very delusional and into conspiracy theories, and then uses these to sell them a bullshit book that he wrote.
You know, when these people are telling you you're going to eat bugs, I mean, that's got to be a red flag. No human says that.
There are people all around the world that eat bugs as part of their, like, cultural cuisine. So the idea that it's inhuman to eat bugs is just fucking untrue.
To another human. And they're spraying us like bugs, and they're poisoning the food and the air and the water, and they're trying to inject you with the death vax. They're still trying to inject you with the death vax.
It's good for you. It'll help prevent you from getting ill. It's not deleterious to your health in any way. You're fine.
They're hoping that you'll forget. And they're basically pumping the food full of neurotoxins so that people have brain fog and the like, and the death towers are doing much of the same. We've been trying to warn people about this technology, especially if you've been feeling the 5G symptoms, recurring
He sells people solutions to this, by the way.
headache,
Part of his book.
chronic fatigue, heart palpitations, pain not associated with an injury. If you're a pureblood, if you haven't taken the death vax,
The pure blood stuff is just absolute Nazi crap.
this system is coming after you. You might think it's because of your politics, and it's probably because of your religion, because these things are demonic in nature. They're
Satanic on the bingo card.
like fallen angels, in a way. It's fallen angel tech, to say the least. And regardless of how you want to call these things, demons, aliens, or whatever, reptilians, these things are here. Their technology is here, and they're trying to kill you. So this is why we've been talking about the problem.
Smoking Dogman says, bit of science here. First off, 5G isn't even as harsh or coherent as microwaves, and in order for 5G to be able to affect DNA or tissue, it would have to be able to at least be as coherent as microwaves or goddamn lasers. Also, being ionizing would probably help. Peter's still around? No, he's not really posting anymore. He posted a video a while back, but certainly not regularly. If he pops back up, I'll cover the stuff. Profane Priestess says, there's a way to keep your skin smooth and youthful. Conspiracy theorists. Is it possible to learn this power? Not from the cis.
Problem associated with this technology, because we're
Yeah, well, he mentioned aliens and he mentioned demons. He didn't necessarily imply they're the same thing, so I'm going to say no as of right now. If he makes the connection, then yes, but not yet.
surrounded by this death grid, this smart grid, and there's no escaping from it. And people that have been fighting it have been trying to find solutions to this problem, to this death grid. And the best solutions so far are basically found in this book that we've been recommending.
Oh, that's convenient. All the best solutions are in the book you wrote, and you make money from it when people buy it. Wow, that's so convenient. Penekagami says, we eat bugs all the time. Lobsters are sea bugs, and the FDA cleanliness regulations technically only keep enough bug parts out of our food. So you're already eating bugs, you just don't notice most of the time. Get over it.
Transhuman Genocide, the ultimate guide to directed energy weapons, artificial intelligence, and
Chilling on the bingo card.
EMF shielding. It doesn't talk about aliens, but it talks about this technology and AI-driven warfare. And basically, it gives you all the recipes to make military-grade EMF armor and EMF shielding so that you can make a safe room, a bunker, and prepare for whatever's
And a fashionable shiny hat.
coming. And it looks like an alien invasion is coming. And I know most people don't want to accept that, but tell it to this dude. Tell it to their agenda. They want you to eat bugs. They want you to take their death vax. It's like an episode from V for Visitors. They canceled that show as soon as they started talking about the vaccines because they knew the agenda.
What? V was on the air like 30, 40 years ago. What are you talking about? That was a mini-series from the 80s. It wasn't even intended to run long term, but also it was on the air like 40 years ago. Robert Englund was in it. Check it out. Fenekagami says, for clarification, the FDA just tried to keep enough bug parts out so you don't notice and complain.
Agenda was coming.
Yeah, they remade it like in the early 2000s. Even the reboot was like 20 years ago. What's he talking about?
In any case, the big weapon of concern right now isn't the death vax, especially for purebloods. It's these death towers. It's these Trojan horses that surround us.
Did I already react to RFK Jr.'s insane theories? Not specific ones, no. Got brain worms.
Strongly recommend that you check out this book. You can read a free preview on Amazon, a couple chapters. You can even order the book and try it out for 30 days to see if it's right for you. But this has all of the info that you need about the technology, the agenda, and it gives you real solutions to the problem. It's not solutions to take out aliens, but it's solutions to survive their directed energy weapons. We strongly recommend that you check it out. Because right now, regardless of where this technology comes from, it's here, it surrounds us, it's plugging away at people, it's making people sick. At first came the 5G, then came the COVID.
No, it didn't. It didn't even happen in that order. Holy shit. There was COVID all over the world, not just where places where 5G were.
And so there's no doubt.
I just want 6G to come out already, I'm just tired of hearing 5G. I just want to hear a different number at this point.
That there's a relationship between this technology and what's happening to people. And if you've been feeling off ever since the rollout of 5G...
Oh yeah, Venus World, I've talked about that before. They're 100% a grifter. I hate them because specifically they tailor their message in order to exacerbate the fears and anxieties of the mentally ill and people who are delusional and into conspiracy theories. He's literally just trying to scare people with mental illness into buying his book. The nastiest, most cynical shit ever. It makes me mad.
Then you definitely need to protect yourself.
Last year, remember Japan was developing 6G? I'm sure someone's developing 7G. They're always working on the next generation of bleeding edge technology somewhere.
Because we're all being targeted. This isn't just about politics. It's about being human. And whatever these reptilians are...
We already had reptilians, but reiterate, reptilians on the bingo card.
You know, they've got human skin. They're blending in. They've taken...
Oh my god, I have human skin. What a coincidence.
...over. They're rigging the elections. We're out of the loop. It's, you know, there's no voting our way out of this. It's like being in a science fiction movie, and we're all going to have to be superheroes. And if we're going to survive, and if we're going to fight, we need to...
Oh, this is the perfect... I finally get to use this correctly. When everyone's super, no one will be. Not how this works.
Protect ourselves against weapons of the future. Right now, there's at least 7 major manufacturers of directed energy weapons. They were quietly rolling this technology out into the infrastructure while we were doom scrolling from crisis to crisis.
Thanks, MH Shark Beast.
They've been planning this for years. They're at least 10 steps ahead of us.
Hello,
and
storyteller.
people are never going to figure it out unless they start thinking outside of the box. This book will get you there.
Oh, I bet.
And it'll tell you what's going on.
That's convenient.
Aliens have AI. Aliens have directed energy weapons. And regardless of where this tech comes from, it's here. And it's killing people.
Yes, that counts as we're all watching a movie on the bingo card.
And so this isn't just about, selling a book. This is about getting people ready for what's coming. Check it out for yourself. Transhuman Genocide. You can get it on Amazon or on Patreon. Until the next time, if you're listening to this, you are the Resistance.
What an asshole. Hate that guy. Alright, let's bring up Kat's video. We'll see how she's doing. Kat Spinda is normally featured on Sovereign Citizen Watch or Sovereign Citizen Sunday. However, this is not a sovereign citizen thing, though it wouldn't surprise me if that bleeds through, as it is part of her worldview, a quite large part of it. She's mostly going to be talking about the Trump assassination attempt. The failed Trump assassination attempt. I have not seen this, so I do not know what her thought is. How's Evil Gina? I haven't really looked at her because she's been doing really bad, to the point that I wouldn't show her stuff on stream. As I've talked about before, I have a line. If it feels like someone's genuinely having a mental break or, like, doing something that's, like, incredibly embarrassing outside of just, like, being wrong, I try not to cover it just because it feels exploitative. She's been in a cycle of just not good stuff, so I've just been avoiding it.
Hello, good men, women, and children. This is Kat Spinda with One New Word. Welcome to my show.
1 second. Why did it do? Turn her up. Wow. Fuck up the video. Rumble's great.
Please. Shot. Many people saw what happened to him on stage, and it was quite a shock for so many people. And I've had a lot of people, or I guess I should
Hydrate. Can do. Dillis Filler with 40 bits says I misread that domain as owning or worth.
say.
Oh, sorry, Fennikagami. Fennikagami says the bug thing is really confusing in America. Eating bugs isn't even foreign here. Go to certain southern states like Texas and you find candied ants and stuff served as a treat. Dillis Filler says I just did that.
Influencers that I have observed, and even the ones who know this is a show, know this is a movie, were still flustered. When you watch, what happened, you just can't help but have the feeling of just, wow, what is going on right now with our country? And a
lot of not great stuff.
I knew,
Mr.
and
Duck Sauce with a 5-stream streak says Flesh Pocket, yes? No!
I had not had a chance to express this to you, but I've been saying the last couple of weeks that I've had a big feeling something big was coming. But, we are on now the second half of the year. This is an election year, and they do not want President Trump in office.
I'm going to be honest, this has felt less like an election year and more like an election decade. I feel like election season has felt like it hasn't stopped since 2015, and I'm so exhausted. Just constantly being worried about horrible, horrible things.
And so I thought I would go over some of my thoughts, some of the things that have happened, with everything going on with President Trump and his big announcement of the vice president, and just some things that I've observed. But one thing I can tell you is the Secret Service and the police, they botched it big time. There should have never been a time where any type of shooter could get close enough to Trump to shoot him. And, when I first heard it, it almost sounded like firecrackers. And apparently the shots came from the shooter, and his name was Thomas Matthew Crooks.
I believe she actually starts giving outright misinformation in here, by the way, at some point. I think she references a 4chan post. So prepare for that. Don't mark off 4chan yet on the bingo card. I'll let you know when it's time.
But let me ask you this. How does this 20-year-old kid, or young man, And in talking to the neighbors, people didn't really seem anything weird was going on or anything like that. But how does
I don't know if my neighbor is plotting an assassination attempt next door. I don't talk to my neighbor. What is this? What?
this 20-year-old
Hey neighbor, how you doing? Got any big plans for this weekend? Oh, I thought I'd go shoot the former president. Oh, cool. I was gonna go to the beach.
at this rally with all of these people and all of these security and all of the police get a ladder to a roof that's about 150 feet away from President Trump in an area where there were snipers literally higher than that who should have seen him.
There we go. There's the 4chan reference. Someone went on 4chan and claimed to be one of the Secret Service snipers. As everyone knows, it's 4chan. So no, it's just some rando.
And with the people.
Kagami says Trump did that. He never stopped campaigning after he won. He was addicted to the applause and was actively trying to build a cult. Yep, he succeeded.
Who had saw the shooter go saying, hey, there's a shooter over there. And they were being ignored. They allowed it to play through, and then you heard the shot. And of course, as you know, many people are referring this to the shot heard around the world.
The only other person I've heard say that is the pedophile conspiracy theorist that we watch, the convicted pedophile. Q referenced on the bingo card. This is a Q post.
Because this is something that the whole world has been brought to awareness. And we have to know, again.
Oh, and 4chan, if I didn't say.
People need to realize that this is a show. And I believe it's for the people who are still not awake to the fact that we literally have Hollywood going on at the top with the politicians, all of these very high paid lawyers, by the way, every single one of them, just about almost all of them. They're huge. I don't know what the exact percentage.
Kagami says, did he catch she used a picture of the wrong guy? The picture of the shooter she used was actually of a guy that was trying to claim he was the shooter for... I honestly have no idea. I didn't notice that.
I mean, 90+% of Congress and the Senate are either current attorneys or were attorneys in their past. And if you're watching my show, you know that it's the attorneys of this country that are stirring our ship called the United States of America Corporation towards the New World Order. And the Bible talks about the New World Order. Many other religions talk about an end time. And
oh, well, if a bunch of different people came up with a similar idea, then it must be true. That's how that works, right?
What again, like I've said before, I believe this is Revelation 18, the fall of Babylon.
Ancient wisdom on the bingo card.
And we are watching the demolition of our current system. Evil is out in the open. People are seeing it with their own two eyes. They're seeing for themselves the corruption and the evil that is going on in our world. And now that you've got people so triggered, they're using the trigger to shoot at a president. And, with this young man who was involved, I don't know a lot about his story.
What we understand about him right now is he was a registered Republican. His classmates remembered him being Republicans. It seems like his motive was just to cause havoc. He also looked up Democratic politician rallies. He looked up when the DNC was, the Democratic National Convention. So it seems like he was just looking for an opportunity to find any political thing and do something. Very Taxi Driver. If anyone's seen Taxi Driver, gives me Taxi Driver vibes. Marcus Drake says, okay, this drives me up the wall. Yes, Congress is full of attorneys. Weirdly, the type of people who like reading and interpreting laws are pretty good at writing new laws. Why is this surprising? I think she's just... I don't know if she's being intentionally obtuse. I just think she's kind of obtuse.
A lot of these stories, years later, we find out that they're actors, that it didn't really happen.
My name is Thomas.
Yes, America is Babylon on the bingo card.
Matthew Crooks. I hate Republicans. I hate Trump. And guess what? You You got the wrong guy.
Yeah, this guy's fake. This is just someone fucking around on TikTok. This isn't the guy.
I did some research into the man who was the victim of the bullet that killed him, and I just wanted to mention that here. But his name is Corey Comparatori, and he was a lifelong volunteer for the fire department in Buffalo, Pennsylvania. And he apparently shielded his wife and daughter, pushed them to the ground, and took the bullet that was in the background. And I, when you rewatch that clip, after Trump is down on the ground, all of a sudden you hear a blood-curdling scream. And, I know what that scream sounds like because I've had multiple.
Benigami says, yeah, that was the faker I mentioned, and she used his picture earlier. You're telling me Kat Spinda fell for an online hoax? I can't believe it. He never does that.
Deaths of close people in my life, so I know the anguish.
He was a bigot, yeah.
Of that and how it sounds.
Based on what happened to Destiny, I'm gonna have no comment on the gentleman who died. No comment.
And so I started to kind of look, into his past. And a lot of times you look into some of these people's past and they lead to nowhere. But this man did have a past. He was on Facebook. He has a family, and there was definitely a history. And apparently, he took the bullet, and he was somebody who was a very loving father. So I just want to give my condolences to the family, to his wife and to his daughters. That's a very, very sad thing. So my condolences on that. I don't believe that was fake. Like I said, this man seemed to have a history. And so before I make any claims about anything, I want to take a deep dive into it. So I just wanted to let you know that this was a man who had strength, who was a Republican, who loved God, loved his family, and therefore, again, my condolences to the family for that tragic death. And, President Trump, he took an earshot, and you saw in the beginning of my show here.
What an odd tonal shift suddenly. I have condolences for the family. Did you see how badass Trump was? He took a bullet. Like, that's tonal whiplash, Kat.
Before the intro, him at the Republican National Convention and how he was received. It was so, like, you had him marching in, you have Lee Greenwood announcing him and talking about how President Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. You got Don Jr. over here crying, like he looks like he's gonna cry.
He wasn't crying, he just accidentally got cocaine in his eyes.
You're speaking to your siblings? Well,
yeah. That the call to my father. I couldn't get through. I couldn't get through. Finally, I got through to my brother. He's like, "Hey, I just got through." Puts me on speakerphone, so it's me and my brother. Kim's there. My ex-wife was there. My kids are there. Like everyone's sort of, most of the family's just on speaker. I'd spoken to Ivanka a few seconds before that. We're just on speakerphone, talking to him. He's just, very calm, collected. It got to the point where it was like almost, you sort of needed that icebreaker. So I'm usually the inappropriate guy. So I was like, how's the hair? How's the hair, Dad? He goes, the hair's fine, but it's a little bloody. There's a little blood in the hair, but the hair's fine. So.
Benigami says that firefighter wasn't. I don't think I can read that. Again, Destiny got, like, demonetized for talking ill of this person. More than that, but I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah,
I'm also not going to delete the message, but I'm not going to repeat it.
Of levity there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a somber moment.
And between the music and the production and Trump coming out with this gangster bandage, he just took an earshot.
I don't care what y'all gotta say about this man right here, this man Trump, but this man is a thug. I'm telling you, he the only president that done been to jail, been shot, and survive, and white people even hate him. This ain't a nigga. I don't know what to tell y'all, but I'm just saying, Trump is the man right now. He the best. I bet you Trump at the house right now, like, yeah, JFK will be proud of me. You know what I'm saying? I know he looking down at me. I done been shot and everything. He feeling like a rapper right now. I'm telling you, man, if y'all don't vote for Trump 2025, I don't know what y'all gonna do. If y'all vote for these other presidents, them niggas ain't been shot. They gotta get shot to get my vote. Trumpster.
Oh, that's a lot.
Country, for the world. What a show. I mean, you can't help but get a little flustered, a little teary-eyed, when you see that, because we do know that Trump is being used to be a catalyst for our world. And a lot of people don't necessarily believe that, especially with the news of JD Vance being picked as the vice president and Trump's choice. A lot of people know.
Sorry, the floating head PNG, and he looks like he's in pain. It's just too good.
And saw that he was a never Trumper. He did not like Trump. Back in 2016, he was pretty vocal against President Trump.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
The president is right. I wasn't always nice, but the simple fact is he's the best president of my lifetime, and he revealed the corruption in this country like nobody else.
What do we
The complete lack of spine from JD Vance is only dwarfed by the other horrible things he believes.
know about JD Vance? I honestly hadn't even heard of him until he was being considered along with Marco Rubio. and who's JD Vance? It kind of reminded me a little bit of Obama, how he just kind of was this rookie senator from Chicago, and the next thing you know, he's the president of the
JD Vance is a professional sycophant, apparently.
United States of America Corporation. So you can't help but wonder, who is he? Why did President Trump pick him? And I wanted to kind of give some breakdown of things that I found out looking into him.
I don't know how long the list was of potentials, honestly. Last vice president that Trump had almost got murdered and completely got turned against by Trump and his followers. So I don't think that's probably a spot a ton of people want to be in.
Him and my perspective on it. And I don't want to really give you my opinion, I guess, per se, but I will show you some facts and some things that
I'm surprised you didn't hear about him. He wrote a book and it got made into a movie on Netflix, I think. Was Hillbilly Elegy on Netflix? Thought it was.
Know about him, and I will let you make your own decision on JD Vance. A lot of people are excited about him. A lot of people are upset. They were expecting certain people to show up to be the actual pick. And then in the background, you've got Vince Fusca standing there just kind of looking around.
Vincent Fusca, for those who don't know, is a guy that QAnon people think is secretly JFK Jr. in disguise. Not just a guy.
Bullets are going, not flinching at all. And of course, that gets everybody in the truther movement going, right? It's like, oh, there's Vincent, and there he is. And
he's at like every Trump rally.
a lot of people.
That's why people picked up on him, because he's like a Trump groupie. He goes from event to event.
Have certain beliefs about him. So if you don't know, look it up. But anyways, what we do know, and which are actual facts, is that JD Vance is 39 years old. He's an attorney from Yale University, and he's
Kat's not gonna like that. She hates attorneys.
Married to a woman named Usha, and so she.
Oh God, is she gonna get racist? Is she gonna get racist? Is she gonna get racist?
Usha Vance, who also graduated at Yale University. Apparently, that is where they met, and they're both attorneys. Now, I thought that was...
If Trump had been assassinated, do I think there'd be a civil war? No, there'd be retaliation by pockets of extreme right-wing militia types. Basically, domestic terrorist attacks would happen. But I don't think it would be anything that you could call a war. At worst, it would be like the Troubles in Ireland.
It's very
Which I know that sounds like I'm diminishing the Troubles. That's not what I mean. It's very serious and like a whole thing. I just mean in terms of the conflict, it would be more guerrilla pot shots than full-on war. Mossloth says JD Vance is one of those poor people that gets a lucky break and now thinks no one needs welfare as if he didn't benefit from privilege. Oh yeah, he sucks. Do I think Vance being married to a woman of color would have an impact on Trump's voter base-wise? Only the extreme ones, like Nick Fuentes cares, but I don't know if he still won't vote for Trump. I don't know. Fenekagami says, now that it looks like Biden may step down, I personally think Kamala should pick Pete Buttigieg as her VP. One of the reasons is obviously name recognition, but the benefit is there's no way Trump supporters will be able to keep their masks on with Trump's opponents being a black woman and a gay man, and it'll remind everyone how disgusting they are and remind people why they hate Trump. I feel dirty thinking about that strategy, but I don't think you're factually wrong. But it makes me dirty thinking about intentionally baiting racists and homophobes into being racist and homophobic to your benefit. Like, I get it. I get what you're saying. A little gross, but that's certainly a strategy.
interesting again.
If Biden steps down, do you think we have someone who could win? I think virtually anyone who goes against Trump could potentially win as long as they're not a walking corpse. Like, I really think a big part of people not wanting to vote for Joe Biden is, obviously, people like you and I have opinions on the Israel-Palestine thing and aren't super happy with Biden about some of his decisions. Most people in the general public, though, I think it's more of an age thing and a perception thing. So if you got someone younger, even someone like Kamala, if not Kamala, someone else, I just think people would go, okay, I don't want to redo the Trump thing. Do something else. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. Yeah, except Hillary Clinton. They can't nominate her. That would be hilarious, though. In a dystopian kind of way.
Being an attorney and everything that I'm talking about on my show with these attorneys. So we have President Trump picking an attorney and also ex-military. So he appears to be a good choice. And Trump did mention during one of his rallies, oh yeah, he used to not like me very well, but then once he met me, then he liked me. And I've had that happen. I've had people not like me.
Beachbeard says, baiting the racists homophobes would backfire. Average white people have trained themselves over many years to believe that open racism doesn't count. This'll just push them deeper in denial. I think you're wrong about that. I think average white people are aware and react to overt racism. What they don't acknowledge often is the more subtle kinds of racism, microaggressions and systemic racism. I could be wrong, though. But that's how I see it.
But once they've met me, then they liked me after they met me because they just weren't sure. But, you know, that's very interesting. I feel like the dynamic of the attorney relationship, them both being from Yale University. We know all of these large, huge universities are funded many times by people at the top. I don't want to call them elite because they are not. They're just people with a whole lot of freaking money. They've stolen it from the people using the Babylonian banking system that we
so close to accidentally based on the bingo card. Then she got into the Babylonian banking system. Thinly veiled anti-Semitism on the bingo card. Jace Proxy with a 10-stream streak says, I know he's just one person, but Professor Lichtman is urging the Democrat Party to stop bickering and infighting and unify behind Biden. I don't think that's going to happen. And to be clear, if Biden doesn't drop out, I'm voting for Biden, and I think all of you should too. I think you should vote for whoever has the best chance against Trump, and that's going to be the person on the Democrat ticket, no matter who it is. But I think at this point, things have gotten to the point that if you don't replace Biden, the damage has been done already. His reputation.
1,000 years. So one thing I really thought was interesting, a couple of things actually, is that in 2017, there was a movie made about him called The Hillbilly Elegy. That was based off of his book and his upbringing, you know, through life and the hardships that he had experienced as a child and growing up, and how he made it through success. He attributed a lot of who he was through his, who he called Mama. And she has a very strong character in the movie. You know, I think a lot of people have a mama in their lives, which is cool. But if you look at who directed that movie, it was Ron Howard. And many people remember Ron Howard from
Ron Howard, the LaCroix of directors.
the Andy
Yeah, we'll check the bingo card after this video.
Griffith Show. He was Opie. He was the son of the sheriff, Andy Griffith.
I think more people know him from Happy Days.
Good father,
Richie
great
Cunningham.
all-around man, very kind, came home, had dinners with the family, laughed, told jokes, took his son fishing. You know, a lot of people remember the beginning.
Is that nowadays kids get 75 cents a week allowance instead of 25 cents.
75 cents? That's a lot of money. And in years...
Inflation. I'm going to skip over this for copyright reasons. Andy Griffith's show is still under copyright for the next 40 years or so. So.
Clean the garage.
Right.
It's long ball.
And so Ron Howard was brought up.
Yes, people our age would probably know him from Arrested Development, but Benekagami says, I accept that it was disgusting to say, and for me to think of it that way, I also accept that with all the dirty bullshit we have to deal with from the right, we got to roll in the mud a bit. It's not like Kamala and Pete don't have to deal with it already and aren't aware of it. My bait point is to remind independents and Democrat centrists they aren't desensitized to racism the same way Republicans are, and I think that other cheer is wrong, and you're right about overt racism, Hannah. Unstable Deadbeat says the Democrats should just run an AI-generated construct that they call not Trump or anti-Trump.
As a child in the Hollywood industry. And in my research about Ron Howard, it was just very interesting how he would put, for instance, his...
You prefer his brother in Star Trek TOS? I prefer his brother in The Ice Cream Man. I love Clint Howard in Ice Cream Man.
Daughter in these baby pageants or these little girl pageants and flip them up. And, you know, pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, part of the sexualizing of our children. Why do people think that is okay?
Wait, why are we playing that? This is going to be a bit, but it's from a late night talk show, and I can't play that.
Sexualization of kids through mainstream media. Ultimate sexy baby contest? Is this at all even appropriate?
Oh, that's a joke.
That's
a joke from Jimmy Kimmel that's making fun of beauty pageants for children, which are, in fact, creepy. It's interesting that she doesn't get the satire there.
Is this even appropriate?
It's really just the slow degradation of our society. It even shows that in the Hunger Games, where the people, at the Capitol, at Pan Am, they were all crazy looking, big eyelashes, blue, green, purple hair. Nobody looked like, some people looked like animals. And they were okay with children killing children. So it's part of the brainwashing that's going on. But a very...
Does she think that the Hunger Games is in favor of the Capitol?
Interesting thing I found out about him, not only the Hollywood connection, but how he got that connection with Hollywood. Because that was one of my first questions. It's like...
Ron Howard? Probably his parents were in the industry, if I had to guess.
How did...
Kid actors at the time, a lot of them came from, I mean, still, nepotism is a thing.
This man, who was a Republican, a conservative...
oh, you were talking about Vance, sorry.
Who hated Trump, by the way. So he had this...
Anonymously thinks her 15 months says happy Friday, and to you as well, almost on a hype train.
Appearance of being in the middle, or closer to the Democrat side. You have all these Democrats jumping in. Mama was played by Glenn Close. Glenn Close is a huge Hollywood actress. She's been around forever. And as you know, these people who've been around forever in Hollywood, they had to pay a price. Just like, Ron Howard.
Worst Ron Howard film? Let me look at a list of Ron Howard films real quick. Robo Twilight, thanks for a 5-stream streak, says 5-stream streak. Hello, everybody. Ron Howard movies. I'm not going to say Apollo 13, because I actually like Apollo 13. See, I like A Beautiful Mind. I like The Grinch Stole Christmas, although it has a lot of problems. Did he do Willow? I didn't know he did Willow. Probably like the Da Vinci Code movies, if I had to say. And I don't even, to be clear, I don't even hate the Da Vinci Code movies. Like, they're trash. They're absolute trash. And they're terrible, but you can put them on and not think about it. It's fine. If you're looking just for a crappy mystery, it's fine. But probably the Da Vinci Code series.
I'm sure he had to pay a price as well. He's made lots of famous movies. He's been around since a child. And who honestly knows even what happened to him as
30
a child?
seconds left to start a
know.
hype train.
But how did he get that Hollywood connection with Ron Howard? Well, if you dive deeper into JD Vance, you will find Amy Achua. Amy Achua was the Yale professor at the university that he went to, and she was a huge mentor in his life. And she was the one who actually told him he needed to write the book, The Hillbilly Elegy, and was very influential in his thinking, in the college, and again, becoming a mentor. She is considered to be a celebrity attorney and also, like I said, a Yale professor. And she has very interesting ideals. Amy Achua is also married to a Jewish man who rose to national prominence as the Iron-Fisted Tiger Mom. That was the book that...
We'll go over anti-Semitism there. That felt pointed. That felt pointed. Overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card.
She had written, and this was 13, 14 years ago. So it's been a while. She's now 61 years old. So at that time, she would have been, about 48 years old when she wrote it. And if you listen to her, there's going to be things that you actually agree with, because she does believe that people need to be able to talk, and Republicans and Democrats need to be able to have an environment where they can talk.
What's there to talk about? You don't believe in reality and want to kill people different than you. What are you talking about?
So that I agree with completely.
Hey, I think that we should make sure people have health care. Well, I think everyone different than me should go away. Oh, this is a productive conversation we're having. Thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate the very adult talk.
We have to be able to talk to people. But let me show you just some of the clips that she's said, and then I'm going to let you make up your mind about her. And keep in mind, again, this is JD Vance's mentor. And, just like Obama had mentors, Hillary Clinton's mentor was George Soros. We have to look at these mentors so that we can understand what their ideology is and what may be, festering in the background and coming out in their actions and in their thought processes. So here are some clips of Amy Achua.
Okay, one of the more controversial excerpts from the book was when you rejected your daughter's Mother's Day card. How cruel.
That story has gotten out of control.
I have the New York Post article here that your daughter wrote defending you. But let's face it, the card was feeble and I was busted. If I actually tried my best at something, you'd never throw it back in my face.
Never. Never. Both my daughters know that if they...
I'm sorry, this lady rejected her kid's Mother's Day card? That's psychotic.
They really, really put their best effort, then that's good enough for me.
So you're not saying if you don't get an A, I won't love you?
Oh, are you kidding? I don't care about the A. It is like, I believe in you so much. I love you more than anything, but I'm going to stick with you.
But you're saying in the book repeatedly, A- is not acceptable. I mean, what does that mean if it's not acceptable?
Captain Squid says, oh, it's Tiger Mom Lady. I've never heard of this lady before.
Well, you have to realize that the book is a little bit self-parodying, because that, I experienced that as a kid. Right. Okay. So first, since I keep getting this, by saying that, I do not mean to be equating those things. Okay. So of course, racism and bigotry and white supremacy are way worse than students protesting. So that's get that out of the way. But yes, I think if you want, the point of the book is if we want to understand how we got to this place, the country that people don't understand, everything's so confusing. So I actually think it makes perfect sense. For 200 years, America was a country that was dominated economically, politically, and culturally by a white majority. So things felt very stable. It felt like we had no tribalism, because we just had one very big and powerful tribe superimposing its views on everybody else, and other voices were silenced.
Well, that's just over anti-Semitism again.
What's happened in the last 30 years or so is because of massive immigration flows and also a change in
hey,
where
look,
the immigrants
it's
are coming
Boxy.
from. The immigrants are no longer coming from Europe mostly, but from Asia, like my own parents, Latin America, Africa, other parts of the developing world. Whites are now on the verge of becoming losing their majority status in the United States. With Donald Trump in the White House, women feel very threatened. With the Me Too movement, men feel threatened. Straights and gays.
If you feel threatened by people getting to talk about the fact that they were abused, fuck you.
Coastal elites feel threatened. The working, and when groups feel threatened, that's when they retreat into tribalism. That's when they get more insular, more defensive, more us versus them. And that's why you're seeing identity politics, a term that, by the way, is so misused. But you're seeing open identity politics in a way that we haven't seen in this country. We have open white nationalist movements. We've always had them. But now they're conferences, that are covered by the Atlantic. As an Asian woman who has long had...
He thinks that open racist factions in politics are a recent phenomena? Oh, God.
Supercilious white guys trying to speak for me. I get it. I get why that is so annoying. And these labels are hurled around. Racist, white supremacist, misogynist, Islamophobe. And there was a reason for those terms, and a lot of people should be called out, is that now there is so little interaction between what you might call the whites on the coasts, whites in this room, whites at Yale, and whites in the middle of the country, basically Donald Trump's base.
Pretty interesting, right? Some of the things also that she argues that there's 8 specific groups that are just superior to others and everyone else who's contributing to the downfall of America. And, when you listen to her talk about some of that stuff, I don't necessarily disagree with that. We have a lot of millennials right now bringing up the Gen Zers, and they are just failing miserably. They're letting them do whatever they want. They're inviting them into their world of the trans and the rainbows and
transphobia on the bingo card. I do like a good rainbow. What can I say?
Not that I have anything wrong with gay people or...
I'm nothing against gay people. I just think we should hide your existence from people until they turn 18.
Even trans. Just that they are...
She said trans real quiet, like it was a swear word. Even if you're... trans. H-Bird says, everyone's welcome in the world of the trans and the rainbow. True.
Targeting our children with these ideologies, and they're just way
no one's targeting children, Kat. Fuck off.
Young to be talking about any kind of sex or trans kids. You got to get out of here with that. That's a fallacy. So
about what? That's not a correct use of fallacy.
The book highlights at those 8 races that are considered superior, and her husband are both in these superior races, is Jews, Indians, Chinese, the Iranians, Lebanese Americans, Nigerians, Cuban exiles, and Mormons as group. These
What? H-Bird says it's pronounced phalloplasty.
three qualities seem to set them apart. I thought that was really interesting, and I will say I've worked with many Mormon people in my life, and they are very hard workers.
Was she in the book? Was the lady who seems shit anyway? Well, was that lady talking about the model minority stuff? And Kat's just like paraphrasing terribly.
They are, and there are certain traits that I'm sure are taught by these certain groups that foster success in their children, you know, being harder, but it's not really the race. It just has more to do with, you know, how they are. They're just harder on their children, and they have the higher expectation. But she talks a lot about cultural forces, and she talks about Trump, just like JD Vance did back in the day as well. So you got to hear some of that. And, you know, again, just everyone needs to remember, this is a movie. And, you know, we can be the crappy extras on the side, or we can be a part of it. One thing I did...
Captain Squid with a link about that comment that I assume will explain it. Tiger Mom returns with proactive theory of cultural group success. Amy Chua's new book outlines contentious explanation of the success of Jews, Chinese, Nigerians, and others. Tiger Mom Amy Chua, who sparked controversy 3 years ago with her attack on Western parenting, returns next month with the claim that certain culture groups in America, including Jews, the Chinese, and Mormons, quote, starkly outperform others. Chua's the triple package, co-written with her husband and fellow... Okay, so it literally is, she's like, these groups parent their children better. Okay. She seems yikes.
I did see the trailer for JD Vance, so if you want to...
Yes, Dillis Filler.
Look that up, I'll put the trailer in the description below. So if you want to click on that and watch it, you can. But the mama makes a good point. And I like that, actually. She said there are 3 kinds of people in life. There's the good Terminators, the bad Terminators, and those who are neutral. And I kind of feel like that right now. I see...
If you think the world boils down to like 3 different kinds of people, please get a less myopic view of the world. That is not how things work. Things are a lot more complicated than that. Sorry, your folksy wisdom doesn't live up to reality.
Point, and I like that too. So we have some good things to draw from here. And, you know, I have to believe that President Trump is making a decision that is truly going to be best for the country. And keep in mind, we don't really know how this is all going to play out, how it's going to end. This is a plan to save our entire world. And
we're going to go over the bingo card after this, Phoenix.
Just have to be patient. The one thing, though, I want to say is there's a lot of people waiting, again, for Nasara Gassara. I've been talking about this for a year now. And I had people last 4th of July telling me it was going to hit any day. And then this 4th of July, now it's the end of the month. And I have all kinds of videos coming towards me about crypto and all of these things. Just don't be the one that, just don't be like Godot. Godot is a book. It's called Waiting for Godot.
The stage play?
While they are waiting.
Am I crazy? Maybe that originated as a book. I just always knew it as the play.
And waiting and waiting and waiting for Godot to come. And at the end of the book, you find out Godot never shows up and they still wait. Instead of being proactive, a lot of people, I will equate to that, to people sitting around in front of their television or in front of their phones, waiting for Godot, waiting for that one moment where everything is just going to instantly change and we're all going to become rich. I hope so. I hope so. But I think that there's been a lot of myth put into this movement and what's happening. You know, I believe God is going to restore his kingdom, that we are going to enter into a new earth, and with that will come wealth. We all need to become part of a movement to save the world and to be loving and to reach out to those around us and not
And to do that, she supports Donald Trump. Other people's worldviews are incredibly confusing.
Not to just get triggered to the point where we're pulling triggers or people are upset that the one who pulled the trigger missed. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, check this out.
Some kind of music video.
They burning the country down with their...
Okay, I'm gonna skip the music. For copyright reasons. I don't know this guy's deal, but I'm not gonna risk getting a copyright strike from that fucking guy.
And that's Tom McDonald. He wrote that in one day. And maybe he had something pre-written and changed it up a little bit to make it work. It's very possible, but we got to get back to
Elsie, thanks for
standing
following.
up, calling out this evil and shining a light in the darkness where there's been no light for a very long time. We live in a Luciferian system.
#1 on iTunes. I love when right-wing people are like, the new right-wing thing is the #1 on iTunes. Does anyone use iTunes in the 2020s? I haven't used iTunes since 2006.
System, and in this system, we are debt slaves. And if we do not stand up against it, there is no...
What the fuck is Rhapsody?
Saying how long this show is going to go. It could go on for a long time until people actually stand up and start doing something instead of being on their phones, watching the television, telling lies to your vision. And
incorrect word etymology is evidence.
Stringing you along, just like Godot did. So let's not be like those who waited for Godot.
Why tattoo hog under your lips, this guy? He knows what he likes.
Let's get the truth out together and become part of a movement to save the world. And whatever you believe about Trump, about JD Vance, about Amy Chua, whatever you believe, just know that you need to keep your eyes open. You need to ask God for discernment and go within. God will give you the answer that you...
Sorry, H-Baird. H-Baird said with some bits, considering her current financial situation after she took action, she probably should have kept waiting. Yeah.
You are looking for, you just have to ask. Ask and you shall receive, right? So we just have to ask. A lot of
what replaced iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music.
Times I remember
streaming services basically.
I lost my Bible. I was going I was on the BART, which is like a subway system in the Bay Area in California. And on the way there, I lost my bag, which had my favorite Bible that had my name imprinted on it. And I was so upset. And I remember my friend, she said, well, did you pray and ask God to return it to you? And I was like, I didn't think of that. No, because that's not going to work. She's like, you just have to pray and ask God to return it. Would you know, we prayed right then and there in my office that we worked at together. And then later that day, I actually got a phone call back from the Oakland station saying that they found my bag. It had my money in it still.
Imagine believing that, like, every day people die of horrible diseases and natural disasters, but you think the creator of the universe took the time to personally get involved in your lost luggage situation? That's a level of, like, main character syndrome I don't even know how to broach. Benekagami says, people being mad about being edgy over Trump is such shit. Ignoring the hypocrisy for a minute, people say shit like that as an intrusive thought on Twitter all the time. People bitch about it when it's convenient, and I hate this thought policing bullshit. You never see these kinds of people saying it about hate speech. I mean, yeah, they're hypocrites. Yeah.
It had my Bible in there. I was over the moon. I didn't even care about the money. I just wanted my Bible back. And sure enough, I prayed and asked God, and it was returned to me. And that is a lesson of manifestation as well. If you do not ask, you will not receive. Ask and ye shall receive. That's what we need to start practicing, start believing that, I mean, if it's not something evil, a bad intention, ask. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for visiting here today. Thank you for your patience while I get reset up. It's just getting started, folks. There's a lot of exposure that's going to be happening this year, not just in a national level, but at the local level as well. We, the people, who are the people, the men, women, sons, and daughters.
But isn't money fake? Unless she needs it.
Who see
it's fake when she owes people. It's real when she wants it.
What's going on with these crooked institutions, we're not going to let up. We're going to keep fighting. Like Trump said, fight, fight, fight. And we're not going to stop fighting. We know that the court systems are corrupt. We know that the attorneys are directing this ship into the New World Order. And it's going to be the people that stand and rise and make a difference, not the neutral people standing around waiting by their phones and watching the television. It's not going to be them. They are the neutral ones. They're not doing anything. But the main has to be that the people rise up. And so if you're waiting around, I'd like to suggest that you do more than wait, that you start getting involved.
Funny how they never talk about the corruption at the Supreme Court. They don't think the Supreme Court's corrupt. It's doing things they like.
That you start standing, challenge your bank, because all debt is fraud. Challenge them. And I believe that we are going into a world that is going to be free, and free indeed. But in the meantime, it's going to get rougher. They are getting more Gestapo out there, more Marxist. Communist manifesto is in play right now in all 3,300.
Everything I don't like is communism on the bingo card.
Counties, and the people are starting to see it.
My favorite.
They're marketing themselves as good people, and there are good people in the system. So I don't want to blanket everybody as a bad man or woman in the system. But if you are hurting people, or if you're lying for your position for money, then you need to wake up to what's happening to you and your soul if you continue on this path. So thank you again. If you find it in your heart, please give to Samba. His younger brother, who is actually one of the orphans, but he registered him as a soul brother. Him and his mom, before she died, just died. It was very sad. You know, Samba feels like the whole country is against him, and we can all relate to that.
I'm pretty sure Kat's getting scammed by this and keeps asking people for money for this person, and I'm pretty sure she's getting scammed. But, she's gonna do what she's gonna do. All right, let's take a look at the bingo card real quick before we move on to some other stuff. Oh god, we haven't marked anything yet, and there was so much. Ancient Wisdom. The movie, no, not They Live, I don't think. This is Marxism, Socialism, or Communism. QAnon referenced. Overt anti-Semitism. The Gay Agenda. Oh god, I'm gonna have more bingo pieces. Vibes-based conspiracy. Believe sci-fi tech exists. Chilling scamming. They Live from the first guy. Thank you. I thought so, but I wasn't positive. Incorrect word origin is evidence. Dead celebrities actually alive for the Fusca stuff. Thinly veiled anti-Semitism. Satanic. Clintons, Bidens, Obamas. Transphobia. Forced sterilization or population reduction as a motive. 5G. Chemtrails. Reptilians. Lenin Cat. Hell yeah, we'll take a look in a sec. Post your card so I can take a look. 4chan. Illuminati, Freemasons, Cabal. Popular media is... Wait, no. Sorry, not that one. Predictive programming. We're all watching a movie. Aliens did it. Oh, God. So much. All right. Did I miss any? I'm gonna look at Len and Kat's card while we do this. Satanic incorrect word origin is evidence. 5G thinly veiled anti-Semitism. Ancient wisdom. Len and Kat, you win. I'll write your name down. Let me know when you need a new sub. That's the song I just wrote for you. You're welcome. Hold on, I gotta find a piece of paper to write your name down. Len and Kat. All right. So that's our official bingo winner for today. We are still going to play for fun, but that is the official bingo winner that gets the gift sub. So congrats. You're just about to call bingo. Close, Densetsu, close. You're always at a disadvantage on YouTube, too, because YouTube tends to be a little behind Twitch, because it just takes longer. Don't know why. Let me see what this is. I marked 38 instead of 39. I'll fix it next time we're on the card. Thank you. Oh, I have cheese dice. Yeah, I have dice like this. Not the text on them isn't red, it's white, but I do have cheese dice. Can I give it to someone randomly? I sure can. There we go. Tina 2 wins a sub randomly. That's convenient. That's another streamer.
Storytelling run. This is about the D&D push.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to watch next, though I did save it. I do want to take a look at it on my own first before I play it on stream. Let me find the next thing we were going to watch. Let's see what Eric Dubé's up to. He's talking about near-death experiences.
Throughout history, people who have...
No, it's not Hannah mentions cheese if someone sends me something cheese-related, because that's just... Then anyone could get it by having me talk about cheese in a bits message.
Been pronounced dead.
And that's pay to win, and I'm against that.
But then later successfully resuscitated, have recounted eerily similar stories. Upon the moment of bodily death, they report that their consciousness, their awareness, their feelings, memories, and personal identity all remain intact, but become detached from their physical body. They can still see and hear everything around them, but no longer through their eyes and ears. Their consciousness rises out of their dying bodies, and they observe the resuscitation attempt, or their mourning family members, while floating around in this disembodied state. Soon they begin to hear a ringing, buzzing, or musical vibrations, and find themselves traveling...
I feel like the fact that it's not consistent should tell you that it's a mental thing, but okay. Unstable Deadbeat, thanks for gifting a sub.
...through a darkness, or a tunnel, toward a white light in the distance. The light lovingly beckons them with its beauty, and brings them to a heavenly realm, where they meet with deceased friends, family, and angelic beings of light. These light beings emanate love and compassion, and telepathically present themselves as afterlife guides, tasked...
I feel like you're assuming a lot. Is he going to say that this is like dead lights? He's going to be like, this is the spiritual equivalent of an angler fish, and your soul is getting eaten.
...with helping recently deceased souls transition...
Which, by the way, is actually a pretty awesome concept, so if someone wants to steal that for a D&D game, go for it.
They then initiate a full life review, where people report their entire life flashing before them. In an instant, they are shown a panoramic playback of their whole lives on Earth. The beings of light observe the life review alongside the recently deceased, drawing their attention to certain key moments when they made selfish, insensitive, or immoral decisions, and question them about their behavior. The near-death experiencer usually feels remorseful and regretful about their shortcomings in life, and the light beings console them by letting them know they can go back, and that they still have a mission.
He's implying a uniformity to near-death experiences that is just not reality. Like, there are aspects in common, the light flashing before your eyes, but this idea of light beings, this is the first I've heard of that. I've heard of people claiming to see relatives who have passed and stuff like that, deceased pets. Not heard this light beings thing, unless that's what he's saying, but he's making it sound different than I've heard people describe it. Either way, I'm of the opinion that near-death experiences are just something that happens as your brain is struggling and dying, but, you know, whatever.
On Earth to complete. This beautiful heavenly realm, the loving light beings, and warm reception by deceased friends and family makes most want nothing more than to stay, and many often protest, insisting not to return. Ultimately, however, they are coaxed, coerced, and convinced to come back to Earth, and soon find themselves waking up, alive in their physical bodies. This exact sequence of events, or a version thereof, has been experienced by countless people throughout history. In recent times, many well-respected clinicians like Dr. Raymond Moody, Dr. Kenneth Ring, Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Dr. Michael Sabom, and Dr. Melvin Morse have left their established professional careers in order to dedicate their lives to researching and reporting on this fascinating phenomenon.
So they're crackpots. Okay.
These and other doctors have recorded and detailed several thousand cases in dozens of books, compiling an incredibly compelling preponderance.
To be clear, the actual phenomena of what we call near-death experiences is interesting and worthy of study in the sense that you actually want to know what's going on with the brain that causes that. But if you're getting into woo-woo spirituality stuff, that's messed up. Don't do that.
Of evidence. These modern near-death experiences also mirror many facets of the ancient Egyptian and Tibetan books of the dead, such as the existence of a bardo body that survives physical death, meetings with luminous beings.
The concept of a soul is a pretty, I'm not going to say it's a universal human thing, because sure it's not, but it's pretty darn common. The idea that there's this dualist nature to humans, that your mind is a separate entity from your body, is a pretty common human belief. It doesn't make it true. Lots of things are common human beliefs.
And deceased relatives, and an intensive life review judgment scene. Researcher Dr. Jeffrey Long has compiled...
I have no idea who Dr. Moody is now.
...the website nderf.org with over 4,000 testimonies from modern-day near-death experiencers who share very similar stories. When compared for commonalities and contrasted for inconsistencies, a disturbing common thread that crops up repeatedly is deception and manipulation by the light and light beings. For example, nearly 95% of near-death experiencers insinuate that they are pulled or drawn to the light in an irresistible manner, like by magnet, as though they have little choice in the matter. The life review judgment scene features God or another authoritarian luminous being who points out specific instances of regrettable, inconsiderate, or shameful behavior engaged in during their lifetimes, then uses those negative events and emotions to convince the recently deceased to return to Earth. Most are manipulated to believe they have some ambiguous mission to complete, and willing...
I don't even think that's true. I don't hear many near-death experiences, and I've heard some in my time. When I was a kid, I don't know how much I've talked about this, I was into, like, this kind of shit. I was into, like, woo-woo, unsolved mysteries, like the Supernatural episodes, shows that would, like, talk about supernatural stuff. I was into it. I'm not going to say I necessarily believed it, but I wanted it to be true because I wanted the world to be a magical place full of, like, really interesting things like that. Now, to be clear, the world is a pretty magical place full of really interesting things, just not supernatural things, you know? So I've heard plenty of near-death experience claims, and I don't typically hear them describing some sort of mission they've been sent on. Not to say I've never heard it, I've heard it once or twice, but it's not common in my experience reading them or seeing them presented on TV or whatever.
...willingly return after the life review. But many others are not so easily deceived, and when they refuse to return to Earth, find themselves forcibly sent back to their physical bodies against their will. In her NDE testimony, Mary S. said, "In the distance I saw a light, and I went into it. The light was very intensely bright, but not blinding. I could hear sublime music that sounded like love songs. I knew at that moment that I am not alone in the world. I felt an unconditional and infinite love. I had never felt so bathed in love, and I had never felt anything like that since. Maria T. said, I was thrown straight into the middle of the warmest, most beautiful, most welcoming light, where I instantly felt that here I feel good. I was drawn to the ocean of light as a gigantic magnet, and drowned in light, exactly like the center of the sun. And Martin M. said, then all of a sudden,
I don't think she knows what the center of the sun's like. I don't think she's been there.
I was gone from my small house, and I was in a dark space or tunnel. It scared me. I felt lost and didn't know what was happening when I saw a white light in the distance. The light was whiter than white, a light we don't have here on Earth. I felt I had to go to the light, but I didn't know how. I was sucked towards it, and once in the light, I saw that the colors were much more intense than here. When describing the light, near-death experiencers universally report feelings of love, happiness, and contentment so intense.
Definitely not universally. I've heard people who've had negative near-death experiences.
They are fully...
So again, he's saying universally by cherry-picking examples and getting rid of outliers, at best.
Enthralled and entranced by it. Bonnie V. said, it was the most incredibly beautiful light that I had ever seen. It seemed to have a personality that was beyond belief loving. I was happy just being in the light.
Newer NDE people report coming back on a mission to expose new truths. I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's because culturally we have sort of an understanding that we're in a tough spot and we all feel crisis constantly. So I wonder if the narrative of I'm gonna save people, I have the truth with a capital T, that gives them something, if it makes them feel important, if that narrative is just buried deep in people's brains somewhere because of our culture. I don't know. Everyone wants to be the savior? Yeah. It's a narrative we keep telling time and time again, too. Think about most Western movies that we see, and that's like a large chunk of pop culture for like a century is film and TV in the United States. Typically, the American hero, the American protagonist, is an individualist who does something, has a new idea, or some special ability, and then they use that ability or knowledge in order to do something other people can't. It's the narrative version of the great man of history, and that is indelibly, like, pressed into our culture and minds in ways that we don't even notice. So I just wonder if that's kind of come to a head with the NDE stuff. I don't know, though. Like, I feel like if you looked at near-death experiences from a more collectivist society, you'd probably see less of that. But that's just a guess. A hypothesis at best.
Larry L. recounted his experience, saying, when I got to the light, it was like all of a sudden there was nothing but the most intense bright white all around me. I instantly realized the most peaceful, pain-free, contented, euphoric state that I can imagine. I never felt so good and at home in all my life experiences on Earth. And Bill V. said, as I moved forward in the dark tunnel, I passed into a bright white light. It was the most incredibly beautiful, peaceful, calm, loving place.
I don't think that was AI, I just think it was bad. I guess I could be wrong. Is this AI? Oh, there are double wings. This is probably AI, you're right.
Ever been in my life.
There's like a random wing out of nowhere on like the left. This guy's got wings and then there's another wing? Yeah. Can't do hands, can't do wings. Good to know.
Full of this unconditional love and this great knowledge of the universe. As wonderful as these accounts seem on the surface, such stories of this hypnotic, loving light that greets us at death also raises many questions. If the possibility exists for us to experience absolute bliss, contentment, and pain-free euphoria, why is that not available here on Earth? Why is such beauty, happiness, and
That's kind of a weird, specious point. That's like me saying, if there are situations in life where I can be happy, why can't I be happy all the time? To be clear, I don't think near-death experiences are a supernatural phenomena or that you actually go somewhere. I think it's entirely in your brain. But that's a nonsense point he's making, even within the context of him believing these things are real. Just because some place somewhere is good doesn't mean everywhere is good. Penakagami says it's not just Western culture, you see that a lot in anime too. Granted, it's often supplemented by the power of love and friendship, which does add a bit more collectivism to the narrative, but they still have savior narratives. Fair.
Unconditional love reserved only for the afterlife. In considering the life review judgment scene that occurs right afterwards, the Light's strategy seems reminiscent of the narcissistic manipulation tactic called love bombing, whereby a target is initially overwhelmed
The ghosts are love bombing me! Jitara says, in my near-death experience, I found myself floating in a cool ocean. I felt completely at peace, and then the main man himself ascended from the waters and said, "You're here too early, champ." He then patted me on the back, and suddenly I woke up in the hospital. Praise Paul.
with flattery and attention to butter them up and relax their defenses. Afterwards, the love and positivity are promptly taken away, leaving the target feeling devalued, discarded, and while in that emotionally vulnerable space, easily deceived. This is conveniently when God, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, angels, light beings, or deceased relatives appear to help guide the soul with their transition. These beings always seem specially tailored to the individual and can shapeshift depending on what form best suits them. Lonnie F. remembers, "I was spoken to immediately and made aware of a presence. After we agreed that I would see him in physical form, he appeared. I think that having me make the decision to communicate with him, instead of him just appearing in front of me, was more for my comfort than anything else." Kathy B. recounts her story, saying,
Oh my god, we're not even halfway done with this. I'm moving on. Get to the point, Eric. Okay, we'll watch this. It's about the Trump thing. We will watch that after I get back from the bathroom. I'll be right back. While I'm gone, Cher will tell you about the dentist. Be right back. H. Baird with the link says, "Who you really see in the afterlife." I can't play this. I'll get copyright struck. But it's cute.
Covering the whole entire Donald Trump situation that, of course, took place a couple days ago in Butler, Pennsylvania. And there's this controversy on Facebook regarding two different videos showing two different audiences in the background. Some are claiming green screen, And when it comes down to it, I need to set the record straight so people don't unintentionally put out disinformation, or I should say misinformation, depending on the source. Let's get right.
A conspiracy channel that is a flat earther worried about misinformation. Hypocrisy on the bingo card.
To it. With the background here, you see Trump right before what went down, of course, the fired on the placard, like I mentioned many times. Look at all the individuals in the back. You see this female, and she has the placard, of course. The two arms holding it up. You see the guy with the hat. I believe this is a female with the hat. You see this mini Trump here, this little Trumper, and everyone else. Now take a look here. And besides the female holding up the placard like we saw before, who was on this side, appeared to be on this side of Trump, everybody else here appears to be different. And let me explain what's taking place. First off, let's play the video, and you'll see what I mean.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
So you just saw that, again, a different set of people. Let's back up here a little bit, again, to the female to the right here. Here you see her again to the right of Trump here, our right, and you get back here, and once again, she's on the other side. So this is the controversy. What's going on with this? And
is this literally he just can't tell different blonde white women apart? Oh God, I hope he never turns on Fox News. He's going to be very confused.
See, this is the Fox video footage. Again, the little Trumper. Now take a look here. And again, on the bottom portion is the Fox News video.
I don't even understand. If he thinks it's a green screen, why would it change? That doesn't make any sense.
On top here is NDT video. And you see, again, the female right here with the Fox, and she's over here on the NTD. Now let's play this clip a little bit and try to...
Me at the radio says, latest Andrew Callahan video has an interview of the lady with the teal MAGA hat in the background. It's fascinating. You should check it out, even though I know Callahan. I'll probably check it out off stream.
To make sense of it, and just focus on this placard and on this placard and who's holding it in both situations.
Did he mention the Matrix?
And you see her here, and you see her here. Like, what's going on here? And this is all about...
They're different angles.
Here's a little Trumper
good. He does that.
right here. You don't see him. And what's happening here is the angle. This is a...
Oh, thank fuck. Is this consummate conspiracy theorist actually pointing out and debunking a conspiracy theory? Holy shit. I never thought it would happen.
A very long distance shot with the zoom and the angle. It looks very similar, and it is to a certain extent with the podium with Trump, but just a little off's a lot off. And I'm going to get to it right now. As far as that's concerned, let's play a little bit more first so we can get a full idea of what's taking place. So again, it's kind of hard to see all this. I'm going to back up here a little bit so people get a better idea of who's behind and what's happening with all the individuals. A little bit more, and again, to make it clear, here's that one female with the red hat, and here she is again. So I'm going to go to a different video clip, and it's all going to make sense. And just moments before the shots...
Okay, I'm going to move on from this because he's just trying to debunk it. Good. Try this one. I'm Seepy. Oh my god, get to the point.
also after that. Anyways,
back with you in your they access your home through when the what has happened when the reptilians have entered your various homes. They access your home through portal entries, and then they either interact with you in your home or they take you elsewhere. Could you talk a bit about that?
one time, we figured out that there was some kind of entity. Me and my wife was laying in bed.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Shit. Sorry.
Feet, and the work his wife was laying in bed.
Have entered your various homes. They access your home through portal entries, and then they either interact with you in your home or they take you elsewhere. Could you talk a bit about that?
One time, we figured out that there was some kind of entity. Me and my wife was laying in bed. Anyways, 3 seconds after that, it started going numb from the feet. This body started vibrating from the feet, and it worked its way up to the legs and up through the hips and the torso of the body, all the way up to your head. But you still knew what was going on. And me and my wife was still able to talk through our teeth to each other. It's like, oh my God, you feel that? It's like, yeah.
What do reptilians want in these conspiracies? Often resources or labor. Usually it's either humans have something they want, so either something like adrenochrome, if it's part of, usually if they're QAnon people, it'll be adrenochrome. Sometimes it's a food source, sometimes it's ample slave labor, sometimes it's some other thing. Sometimes they want resources from the planet, sometimes they're just like that. It really depends upon the motivations of the particular conspiracy theorist thinking about this conspiracy.
So too, and all of a sudden they came in and picked us up. Some reptilians picked us up, big ones, and they was holding me up underneath the armpits. That's how strong they are. They carried us to this portal, Stargate, and the first thing I noticed was a realm that was all dark and black. So you couldn't tell which.
Why do I personally want to abduct humans as the Lizard Queen? You're just all cute. Humans are just adorable. Like, as adorable as you find kittens, we lizard people find humans adorable.
Was up or which was
We're abducting you and adopting you out to families.
down.
Reptilian families.
And we've been told you shouldn't talk about that. There are other people say, well, you better not talk about the reptilians. Well, bull. Why not? According to the Andromedans, they're responsible for 31,712 children disappearing in the last 25 years from the United States. These children were food. And I'm supposed to just shut up and not say anything about it because people don't want to hear it? That's tough.
No, I think you just need to, demonstrate your claim. Kitara says sometimes it's for our genetic material, according to some guys in documentaries who are exposing poorly disguised fetishes. True. Peter thought he was abducted and was basically assaulted and had his semen taken to create an alien baby.
That's tough. Westchester County, in the last 5 years, 3,000 children in Westchester County, New York.
Alex says, do reptilians spay and neuter their pets only upon request?
Have vanished without a trace. Where are they going? Why are we allowing this to happen? And why should people stay in denial about it?
Now, how are they able to do this? How are they able to do it? How are they able to come up out of this from under
DC is from Westchester County, yeah.
ground and do it, or do they have?
There are tunneling systems everywhere. They're being helped by the Greys, and
the big county.
Also, there are groups within the higher echelon that are actually helping them acquire this.
So human beings are abducting the kids and getting them to the Greys, who in turn give them to the Alpha Draconans?
That's right. That's part of the deal. They won't come up as long as we feed them down there. You understand? It's about human beings selling themselves out. The echelon attitude here, the needs of the few outweigh the needs of humanity. And sorry, that just isn't right. But it's going to have to be humanity.
I feel like in the scenario you're describing, it's more that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, because they would, in this scenario, be sacrificing some people to prevent an invasion from underground lizard people. Now, I'm not going to comment on the morality of that, or the lack thereof. That's a trolley problem for another day. But, opposite of what he just said, Gothgeek Gaming, thank you so much for 19 months. I appreciate ya.
That's going to rise up and take the stand.
Reptilians summoned at ritual. They're not demons. Why would you need to summon them? Wouldn't it be easier to just farm humans? They like free-range humans. They taste better. Where was the Reptilian? Damn. I hate when your camera cuts off before the Reptilian shows up.
The cancer viruses.
That's Alex Jones. Let's see what we're gonna do next. I'm Reptilian. Ooh, let's do the remote viewing people. These are guys who claim to do a remote viewing. You don't know what remote viewing is? It's basically claiming that you can psychically see other places and times in your mind. Scrying. If you're a D&D fan. Basically scrying.
All right, so you guys were looking at the spiny rocks at the Gale crater on Mars.
We're gonna scry on the moon. Sorry, Mars. Those are two very different things in space.
And Edward, you even said Mars in your session.
I think maybe more than once.
Yeah, you get a gold star for that one. This is like an overview of the crater, and
it's true. I need all of your subs, because reptilians don't actually eat protein. We eat subs and bits on Twitch. It sustains us.
You'll see this shape coming up in the viewers' sketches. You've got the round shape,
and tips help us molt,
of the crater, and there's a dome in the center of it, and I saw domes coming up a lot. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Jumping at once.
I'll go first.
Name.
I drew something that looks...
What's the cheese for? Oh, you don't want to know.
Pretty much exactly like that.
Yeah, you guys all had good data.
There. So let's see. I had a feeling this was like somewhere out, not on Earth. Okay, so off to Mars. So yeah, starting with the visits, kind of had a bit of a dome shape there, circular shape, dome. Looking at the land, I saw like a bunch of rectangular features on the land here, and it felt natural.
Unstable Deadbeat with 100 bits says to feed the Hannah. Thank you. Almost on a hype train.
It looked man-made, like the look of it, rectangular man-made, but it felt...
Feed me a delicious hype train buffet.
The probe felt very natural.
Are all reptilians lactose intolerant? No, I'm just unfortunate.
Probably because it's so eroded.
Yeah, yeah, possibly. I got more into that a bit later there, but it felt like there's some kind of transfer of energy happening, almost like a surge or some introduction of energy enters into this area, fizzing, hot, mushy, hard. Yeah, looks man-made, but
those are mushy hard. Those are contradictory. It can't be mushy and hard.
But it's natural. Yeah, land with some kind of structures there, tan, brown, black, hard, overlapping structures. And then for a moment here, I saw what looked like power lines, or towers of some sort. So some kind of electric, bright light being given off from the area. And here's that thing that looks like what we showed in the feedback picture there. I saw what looks like I don't know what you would call this, but there's like, when you light an explosive, there's like the little string, the wick that leads
fuse
up to it, and you spark it and you see the light kind of travel down the line.
H-Bird says this is the lamest round of Pictionary I've ever seen.
This reminded me of that, like a hot wire, or I don't know if it'd be called a trigger mechanism.
Fuse. You can't think of the word fuse. That happens to everyone, but that's annoying. Captain Squid with 100 bits says, I don't think I've seen these people consult a ritual book before casting scrying. Mistress' sake, it's always sorcerers!
But energy traveling through a wire, but you could actually see the kind of like these sparks and spikes.
Oh, that doesn't seem very safe. Does Mars not have OSHA?
That come off of it as it moves across, like an activated pulse over a wire. And so I tried to move back before the destruction, and this felt like some vegetation was there, lush vegetation, life. There's a layered structure, felt like older historical, kind of like a step structure land.
Who wants to go next?
I'll do mine. Scheffler with 100 bits kicks off a hype train. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dick, you're up. You'll be surprised where you have some corroborating data with other viewers, Dick.
So I got the same dome. The first thing I saw was the...
Whoa, they both thought of domes. That's nuts. Tea Time T with 40 bits says this dude was remote viewing on Marvin the Martian. There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom. That was more Stitch. That sounded like Stitch. My bad. Steve with the Q says maybe not having OSHA is why Musk is so eager to get to Mars. Unions, I'm the king of Mars! My robots will kill you if you try to collectively bargain.
Exact same thing Naeem saw. The idea of silt, sediment, broken pieces, debris, sediment. I got something that was like old and caved in.
A cave!
Was the general feeling here. A place that's like collapsed, blockage, rubble, like demolished, dim and dark.
Ah, so there's a cave-in on Mars, and Musk wants to go there to build a submarine and then call someone else who saves the Martians a pedophile. That joke was a bit of a trek. Probably not worth it.
And demolished.
Star Trek?
And here I saw a planet, and I said, God, there's a connection to this planet, and I don't understand what it is. So this was a place that in the distant past was guarded, well-maintained, ceremonial, immaculate. I was getting like Babylonian or Byzantine.
I would bet money he's not qualified to differentiate either of those things from each other.
And then at current time, it's disrepair, lost to time, rubble, things have fallen, inaccessible, mysteries unearthed, like an archaeological site that people study. That pretty much looks like one of the feedback pictures, doesn't it? Right there?
Yeah.
Sulfur, minerals, rock, and that round thing. I think that's the overhead view of the thing. That was a good visual I got.
Marcus Drake says, is streaming just free association theory at this point? Pretty much.
Yeah, I had no idea what this was. I was like, what the hell is this?
Very interesting. Yeah. Let's have Derek go next.
Therapy.
Just because he had some stuff that came up in Dick's session.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Dick, I think
I kind of understood what you were saying, but therapy makes more sense.
And, I also got some natural stuff, but I also got...
I like that one of the things he tasted was wet stone. That's in the smell taste category is wet stone. He was looking on Mars in his mind and he was like, I'm gonna lick that rock.
Like iron, like...
I know geologists actually lick rocks before someone brings it up.
And some
33% to level 1 in the hype train.
Complex man-made, but made from stone. And the people that I got were really interesting. This was like, they all had like this glow about them, like in those, old, like, I don't know, I'm picturing a couple hundred years ago, and all the religious pictures would depict angels with beams coming out and halos and stuff. They were emulating light. And then I got this, like, this is definitely like, it almost reminded me of the White House, only with spires on top, like spiny stuff on the top of it. Castle or a monument is what I was thinking. But that was the general shape. It's like the Capitol building or the White House, big dome on it. in the S3, it's like a church or highly complex structure where geometry interacts with sound, magnifying or amplifying power. And the location was carefully selected, and it's like where ley lines intersect, like where the
Yeah, you might be thinking of the Capitol building.
Planetary magnetic field interacts at a really good location.
Thank you, Derek. And yeah, there were a lot of common themes that came up with Dick's session. Yeah, thank you very much. Let's have Daz go next.
So straight off the bat, I went to cliffs. This is like layered land for me. So linear layer cliffs. And then I kind of moved my focus out a bit, and I felt like I was on like an island or a peninsula. So I moved higher up, and this is a view of like a planet, green vegetation and water, snaking in here. And it had like a crack-like fissure, and I had, definitely like a waterway feel to this coastal kind of region I was looking at, which was very large regions. But as I said, no, at this point I couldn't see any man-made structures or life. But then I did, I felt there was a structure at some point with vertical layers, and it was in the land, and it was artificial and constructed. So it was a bit of a weird dichotomy there that I was getting. But I also felt that I was actually being pulled to a different location.
Captain Squid says, is this just the conspiracy version of the scene from American Psycho? Ah, green vegetation, very nice. Basically, yeah, they're just showing each other's daydreams. Which would be nice if they knew that's what it was.
For this. And I wrote that here. I felt like I was being pulled to another connected location that was warmer, drier, in a different region. Maybe because, in an area where it's just land, as RVers, we go to something that's a bit more interesting. I was confused, as I said, because it started off really just talking about a bit boring land. And then I wandered off to an interesting structure that I found somewhere else.
The structure underground seems to be coming up as a theme as well in a lot of your guys' session data here.
It's almost like tunnels and structures underneath the Martian surface is an incredibly common trope in sci-fi that everyone has seen or heard of from one time to another.
Edward, let's see what you got, man.
Wow. Pretty cool sessions. Pretty cool target, man. I've never heard of that.
Pretty cool, man. Mars is pretty cool. Thanks for the insight. Moving on. I'm so tired. Oh, this is barely related, but I did want to point out these people who are doing the remote viewing thing are also crypto scammers. This is their video, 5 cryptos that'll get you generational wealth remote viewing compilation. Here's their disclosure. The statements contained in this video are not intended to be a guarantee or promise of results and should not be construed as legal, business, financial, tax, or professional advice. Individual results may vary. The video advertisement is governed by and shall be construed in accordance with the laws of the state of Wyoming. 4. Governing law. Any action, suit, dispute, or proceeding arising out of the relating this non-disclosure agreement shall be governed by the federal laws of the United States of America and the state laws of Wyoming, given no effect to any choice of law rules that may direct the application of the laws or another jurisdiction. I'm sorry, are you saying that I'm agreeing to a non-disclosure agreement by watching this video? That's not how that works. That's not how that works at all. Thanks, Phoenix. I've been feeling like shit. I am so tired. All right, let's get into them grifting.
All right, guys.
A little bit, and then we'll get on to another video.
Here we go.
Ethereum.
Ethereum. Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. Yep.
Okay, sub-Qs. This is the remote viewers to observe and record Ethereum's performance for all 4 quarters of 2024, and the remote viewers to observe Ethereum's trends in 2024 and data relating to the growth and decline and recorded thoroughly. So top left, do you want to go first, Dick?
Sure. Okay. This has a white paper that is well planned, a lot of thought and design, very technical. Coders worked very hard. There's a lot of design and effort. This has functions. interlocking things, linking, joining, creating new systems that have functions. The function is complex and has competitors. That's correct. Duplication of efforts, ecosystem.
H-Bird says, Wyoming has the lowest population of any state. Let's all move there, take over the government, and create a queer dreamland. Who's with me? I'm on board. I get to run the movie theater.
Which will prevail. It has some loyal hodlers, but it is in competition. So
oh
that's
my god,
correct.
he said hodlers.
I felt that there are other tokens trying to do what it does. Rocket up. Ads, promotional push, you're going to see the logo at sports events. It's going to do well. So I overall positive.
For the time being, let's maybe look at Naeem's work.
For people, I saw a woman as well involved. I'm not too familiar with the other devs there, but
holy shit, he saw a woman.
Cyberpunk tech nerd appeal here.
He saw a cyberpunk woman.
An older male, glasses, hacker type background, well versed in tech, corporate appeal, like a main hub that my sense here was almost like an octopus branching out, like security, encryption, finance, media, gaming, far reaching, multi-use, a focus on hyper security and like an
Dillis Filler says 8 hacker females in the imagination.
Adult flavor. Like it didn't feel very,
that meme's never gonna get old.
Like playful or anything like that. Like identification security services, multimedia, using pseudonyms, kind of appealing to the off-grid type minded people. Looking at the holders here, January felt like, a pretty significant rise here.
If I run the movie theater, can we ban certain films? Like what? Give me an example. All right, I'm going to move on. We get it. They're shilling crypto using their weird psychic stuff. It's a little funny, but I feel like the reptilian stuff has been gaining a lot of popularity again recently. I don't know why. Some of this stuff comes in cycles. Birth of a Nation. I'm not big on banning movies. Like, let me put it this way. I own Birth of a Nation on Blu-ray for the historical commentaries. Like, it's an important piece of history because it was, like, one of the biggest movies ever. And it's just racist bullshit. So I think that's important to remember from a historical point of view. I'm not big on banning things like that. They should be provided context, but whatever. Yes, Hannah mentions Blu-rays. Like, I have Birth of a Nation and Triumph of the Will because they both have really good commentaries from historians on them that talk about the context and the implications of all of the imagery. So it's interesting. See what this is. Triumph of the Will is insufferable, though. If you ever try and watch it without commentary, it's just... And I understand that this is, like, part of the point, is the ostentatious nature of the grand, long shots of just crowds and Hitler. I know that's part of the point, but oh my god, does it drag.
We all know that restoration really means destruction.
There's that word no again.
Welcome to Portland, Maine, where we are given the United States Custom House, a structure that we are told was completed in just 5 years. And of course, would have gone a lot faster if it wasn't for all the delays in obtaining.
That's so weird. The Tartaria people sometimes are upset when they read that cathedrals took like 100 years to build, but this guy's upset this only took 5? Pick a lane. How many years is the appropriate amount of building time for this?
The granite for the upper stories. It's incredible. Where the need for the new custom house. Wait, a new one? What is this? The fire destroyed the exchange building, which had previously housed the customs office, post office, and courts, as well as 1,800 other buildings in the center of the city. All gone to this fire. Now, with 1,800 buildings gone in flames, where some of them were stone, where we all know that stone is not flammable.
He thinks that if you burn out a brick building that it's livable, just because bricks themselves don't burn? Oh god. The structure of... Doesn't understand architecture on the bingo card.
We get this interesting article in the Portland Herald where there is confusion about the death toll. Of course there is. On July 10th, 6 days after the fire, they report that 3 intoxicated men burned and didn't make it, which was one of the first buildings to burn down. However, it's also reported only 1 person didn't make it, where you can read the ridiculous story here. I'm not buying.
Is he just confused that, especially in the past, this is still a problem, but he's confused that in the past, especially when we lacked, like, instantaneous communication like we do now, that reports are gonna vary? Like, everyone, it's pandemonium. The city is burnt down. People are separated. People have run to safety. And you're confused as to why there's alternate accounts of what happened? That's just typical. Ugh.
That one at all. You can catch a lady, but not a baby. It's ridiculous. Where the final number finally comes out, where on July 14th, the news reported there was no loss of life, where none of the reports were authenticated. We've seen this before in episode 59, where these great fires can destroy cities, making them look like bombs went off on stone buildings all over the world.
Again, does he understand the structural damage that a fire can do to a building? Like, regardless of if the exterior is brick, that doesn't mean that the entire structure and its load-bearing supports are all made of brick.
In nearly every single city, yet everybody was just fine, and nobody had an issue getting away from this fire that exploded stone buildings. Not a single stone wall
It didn't explode them, they collapsed.
On any.
Oh no. That made me think of the I'm gonna collapse video. Fuck.
Everybody just hopped on their horse and ran off into the sunset. So 1,800 buildings are gone, including the Exchange building. That looks like a palace in itself. If this was one of the 1,800 buildings destroyed, could you even imagine what this city looked like? No power tools, riding around on horses and wagons. They were just all living in palaces, throwing.
This was a governmental building. This isn't what all the houses looked like. This would be like looking at the Capitol building in DC and being like, everyone must live in a fucking mansion. Look at that big building.
Another column in there just for fun. And every time I see this picture of the Exchange building, it just looks like they put a new filter on it on Instagram to make it look like it's from back in the day.
I mean, they might have done that. It's for a fucking website, for entertainment, for edutainment.
We're told that the Exchange building was constructed between 1835 and 1839. 4 years. Remember, this is 56 years before they had a power tool. And this is where every single person should see that they are being told a massive lie. Knowing what we know about all of the historical patterns, get ready. Here we go. July 4th.
Wait until he hears about the Parthenon.
1866 was the end of this building, where it was burned down by a fire. A fire that destroyed the entire city. 1,800 buildings, spreading from stone building to stone building, column after column, where after being in use for 15 years, this building burned down on January 8th, 1854, where demolition was the only alternative. Between 1854 and 1965, two more
Greyline says no one died in the Portland fire because the fire was started in the warehouse district by kids playing with fireworks. Most of the city was watching fireworks up in the hills. Those that weren't saw the fire coming. Unfortunate. Sucks that people lost so much, but it's better than losing their lives.
more federal buildings.
They're all dead now, so guess the fire won in the end.
Occupied this exact
You ever tell a joke so stupid that you're mad at yourself?
same site. Multiple buildings, yet again, multiple fires. A total and complete mess of the narrative. Patterns that we've seen all over the world. Not giving us any information about how these buildings were just thrown together and knocked out over and over on the same.
If you wanted to look up the history of, like, construction of this era, I'm sure plenty of material for that exists. You would just have to go look for it instead of just begging the question constantly.
Site with ease. The one
Avalon of Babylon, they're interesting. Various different theories. It's weird. It's been weird.
ones that remain are incredible. Go inside one of them. They are not something that was just built by a few guys on their donkey. They were
No, it was built by a lot of people.
clearly
Do they understand that, like, prior to power tools, we had tools? We still use tools that aren't power tools, by the way, in many circumstances.
built with
I think there's literally a guy on YouTube that shows, like, old techniques of doing stonemasonry and stuff, too.
perfection.
So you can go look how they do that without power tools.
So let's go deeper and investigate this man, this character that we were all given, Richard Bond, where he is pinned
Bond. Dick Bond.
to the North Congressional Church from 1836, a church that is beating our churches today, just barely, with those nice
I mean, some of that's Protestantism.
vanilla skies. And the sky
If you want fancy churches, you shouldn't have done Protestantism.
wipeout didn't work that well. As you can see, the tree is all messed up. So they just knocked this one down. They just didn't need that one anymore. 4 years later, he knocked out another church in Boston, where in 1912, they were just using it to repair people's shoes. They had so many buildings from the previous civilization, all just sitting around, that they could just turn it into whatever they want, or just knock it down, just like they did with this one as well. So Richard Bond is just knocking out castle churches and Greek Revival public buildings. He was born in 1798. He was son of a farmer. Remember that. He just establishes himself as a carpenter. And then next thing you know, out of nowhere, he is now an architect.
Does he think that the Wikipedia page is the entire breadth of knowledge we have about this person? Does he know that he can go to the little number citations on this page and find longer, more in-depth articles and sources on this that would probably more in-depth? In fact, I'm certain they would go more in-depth into his life, because the Wikipedia page is by definition a summary of a lot of information found elsewhere.
Which school did he go to? Who trained him?
Probably got an apprenticeship.
None of this would be an issue for Richard. He would join forces with Isaiah Rogers and form Rogers and Bond.
He's basically just saying nothing ever happens. No one ever starts a career. Weird.
Where you're never gonna guess what Rogers' dad did. This guy was also a farmer. Everyone.
Yes? Is he aware that prior to the Industrial Revolution, you were pretty much either a farmer, maybe a merchant if you're lucky, and if you're not that, maybe royalty or in the clergy? Most people were farmers. What are you talking about?
One was just either a farmer or a master architect in the 1800s. There's no in between. And if you're a farmer...
Yes, there were fewer vocations, relatively speaking, but that doesn't mean there were none. Like I said, a lot of people were farmers. there were specialized craftsmen, there are people who are merchants, and then there are, like, super wealthy people, kind of like you have today. But craftsmen have been a thing basically forever. What?
Your kid is destined to...
I shouldn't say forever. Since the beginning of human civilization, people with skills in craftsmanship have been able to take advantage of those abilities to trade them for goods and money, whatever.
Be a master architect. This is incredible. And we've all seen the Hannaford and Sons. And they're now mixing narratives here with his wife named Hannah Ford. Hannaford and Sons. The AI name generator has obviously ran out of names. Very
What?
odd. So Rogers and Bond, this firm, only lasted until the following year, of course, when Rogers left for Boston. So Bond, with all of his training from nobody, went on to work alone until 1850, where he would go on to construct palace after palace after palace, where nearly every single one of them were demolished. And we're just getting started today. Welcome to episode...
Fun fact, every building is demolished on a long enough time scale.
82 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome. And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com.
Speaking of Patreon, if you join my Patreon this Sunday, we're doing a patron-only live show. If you join as a paid member for as little as $1 a month, you'll not only gain access to future patron-only live shows as long as you're a subscriber, you will gain access to the entire backlog of VODs of previous patron-only live streams. So if you'd like, go to patreon.com/HannahReloaded. Helps a lot to support the show. All right. Advertisement over.
You can check out his app. I'll put the link in the description, and you can use my referral code, MLB. He also has my lunch break on the homeschool section of the app, which is really cool. Thank you to Rebecca K, Don Gaston, Christopher Arietta, The Lady Lacey Show, Dos Gackwin, Kimberly Bruce. The nonsense we are told. This is what is here on that site today, where I believe that this building has always been here and survived all the destruction and the rest.
But you saw the picture of the burnt one, and you said that they burned it to destroy it. But if this building you think has always been there, what was the other thing that you said was destroyed?
You can even see that it is partially buried into the ground. I believe these steps, they were never there. And this is our civilization adding that in. The front door to this place is lower and was possibly buried and is now in the so-called basement, where the basement was originally the first floor. And this has now changed. We've seen this all over the world, over and over, where the front door is always lower and is now possibly buried. And
I'm begging people to learn about half basements.
Here is where things get very weird. Remember, we have Bond and Rogers, friends, teaming up for a year. Well, now we have the architect of this place, being Alfred B. Mullet. And guess who this guy was also partners with? There it is, Isaiah Rogers. And Mullet's supposed...
So they lived in the same area, in the same field, and had worked together? That tracks.
Works are insane. From 1861 to 1872, 11 years, that's it. He knocked out 17 palaces in 11 years.
Buildings. By palaces, he means on this list are churches, city halls, courthouses, post offices, a custom house, an office building, another post office, another post office. He's calling them palaces.
If you can believe that. This is before the power tool. Now I'm gonna ask again. How are we to believe that every single architect in the world, every single builder was perfect?
They weren't perfect! You just read about his buildings burning! What are you talking about? They weren't! What?
Over and over.
The ones that you currently see, if they still exist, they're survivorship bias. What are you talking about?
They were perfect. There was never a mistake. And these buildings are incredible today. We can all
What
see
are
them.
you talking about? Old buildings have to be restored all the time.
They're not something that we're making up. These places, you can actually go and go inside of them. And there was never a mistake. And these people...
What do you mean there was never a mistake?
could supposedly build palaces in 1 to 2 years. Over and over and over. 11 years. And he knocked out 17 palaces.
Again, he did designs. He was the architect. So he does the plans and then hands them to the contractors or builders or the city who then gets builders and then they build it. He's not there putting it together himself. He's the architect. Like Adam Sandler in Click.
And we never questioned this before. Well, that's all changing now. I know that our current civilization, with power tools, with computers, with all the technology, all the training, everything, we do not knock out 17 palaces in 11 years today. We don't do that. And I know we cannot do that without.
Do you not think 17 post offices could get built in like 10 years? Yeah, we could. We can build some fucking post offices.
Power tools. And we have had a lot of people confirm this. We know this. Without power tools, our civilization could never do this. Yes.
What are you talking about? You can't just say that like it's true.
They did it all the time, 200 years ago. So something is off about this narrative. And
you just don't understand that people are capable of really incredible things and you don't know what you don't know, and it's causing incredible dissonance with your current worldview because your current worldview is wrong. But instead of recognizing that and adjusting your worldview, you concoct a conspiracy so you don't have to think.
we know this, so let's go further. Was this just the post office guy? Where 15 of his buildings were post offices.
Man, it's almost like they needed a lot of fucking post offices.
Did the Treasury Department, did they own this guy? Or did they create this character? Did they make
No!
him up?
Maybe they just liked the other post offices he designed and were like, here, design more post offices.
Where this post office in New York was designed by the office of the supervising architect of the Treasury Department under Alfred B. Mullet. Has anyone ever heard of a 27-year-old master architect?
Yeah, you just told me about one. Also, 27 back then was not young. People lived shorter lives. People matured younger by society's standards.
I think we've shown...
Run Trip Fall, thanks for 22 months, says, wow, this guy is worse than Beach Towel Guy. 22 months, yay! I miss Beach Towel Guy. For those that didn't see that, there was someone who thought that old photos were fake because it was a bunch of people on a beach and none of them had beach towels. The pictures were taken before beach towels were invented. This person didn't think, or didn't think to think, that beach towels were invented at some point. So, of course, there's going to be time before that where there aren't beach towels.
One before in the past, about 60 episodes ago, where he was knocking out castle prisons. If you missed it, today's your lucky day.
Castle
Alfred
prisons?
B. Mullet was born in 1834 in England, where his dad bought 80 acres and enrolled at Farmers College. I have to be honest, I laughed when I saw that one. Incredible. 3 for 3 today. They had to just get the farming part into the narrative somehow.
He knows you can, like, look this up and this is a real place, right?
This narrative is 100% AI generated, in my opinion. Without
It's not! It's not, though!
a doubt. It repeats itself over and over. And if you didn't understand what
He's literally saying because the word farm is mentioned multiple times, it's AI. That's not how this works.
to look for, you would never find anything. But now that we know exactly what to look for, we find it all the time. And if you didn't understand what to look for, you would never find anything. Especially in the 1900s, when our civilization wasn't introduced to the AI yet. We didn't even know that was a thing. But now we do. So we find it very easily. It's all right here for us. Right on your computer. You don't have to go to the library and dig through thousands of books anymore. Born in 1834, and his first project started and completed in 1861. And this story is insane. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it says that on March 10th, 1861, they got the land from Allen. Alfred's first project was approved, and just 16 days later, the foundation was finished with the laying of the cornerstone, where I know it now. I've mentioned this a few times, but we have this 100% pinned down now. We are exposing this right now, in real time. Are you ready? The stone is larger than the rest and is hollowed out to allow a box of mementos.
Yeah, it's a cornerstone. That kind of thing wasn't uncommon. Maybe still isn't. I don't know. But, like, cornerstones in buildings would often have either an inscription or something that was just sort of a dedication of the building in some way, shape, or form.
Where it was opened up in 1961, and the documents were already gone.
That's a shame.
So a new container was put into the stone. A new container put into the cornerstone, where we now know what is going on here. We know that the previous civilization put valuable items inside these cornerstones.
No, the builders did of this building that was not ancient, relatively modern. Did you read it? It just said it.
The world, just like we showed in our 1 hour special, episode 77, where they just couldn't remember where the cornerstone was to the St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. They had 100,000 people there to watch, and then nobody could remember where it was. We know that they know exactly where it was. They never forgot.
I think part of conspiracy theorists' problem is that they assume people are much more competent than they actually are. Like, everyone fucks up. There is no such thing as a perfect system. People forget things. Things get lost. People drop the ball. It happens all the time.
Simply went and removed it. And this is so clear now. The cornerstones hold incredible information, possibly the details on how the building was constructed, or materials.
We know how the building was constructed.
Inside. There's something inside these cornerstones, and we called it right here on this channel. Unbelievable. Especially when we drive this point home and show the world that we...
Galaxy of miscellaneous stuff says a lot of time capsules are lost. People just plain forget where they are. I want all of my Blu-rays, when I die, to be encased in some sort of airtight resin, and then submerged under the ground in a concrete and steel container, so that in 50,000 years, someone can see my copy of Auntie Lee's meat pies. Are you telling me this isn't valuable to future civilizations? They need to know what's in the meat pies. It's people.
We are correct. And we take a look at the U.S. Capitol building, where in 1991, a search for the Capitol cornerstone was conducted. Remember, we are told that this building was constructed in 1793. We are at the point in our research where we understand that they are not going to wait 198 years to go look for a cornerstone for the first time. And if they really...
I mean, it didn't come up. It's not even the same people. People have died. Generations have died. Like, what do you mean?
They did build it. They wouldn't have forgot where it went.
They died. The original people who did it fucking died, because that's how time works. They weren't around to ask.
This right here is 100% evidence, in my opinion, that our civilization are the finders or the founders of these structures. They did not construct these buildings. They would know where the cornerstone is without a doubt. A search for the Capitol's cornerstone was conducted, including use of metal detectors. Metal detectors for stone?
It literally says right in front of your face, a metal detector to locate the engraved plate. Meaning that the engraved plate on the cornerstone is metal. Look at this and understand that the level of reading comprehension we are dealing with is unfathomable. I am incapable of fathoming the inability of this person to understand the things that they are reading. Phyllis Filler says, Maritime Nerd Moment, the shipbuilders at... Oh god, I'm gonna fuck this up. Oh no, you did pronunciations. Awesome. Chantier de l'Atlantique. Use my French. Put a couple of coins into a tiny compartment in the keel of the RMS Queen Mary, too, as an offering to Poseidon. Not because they believed it, but because of tradition. Yeah, people do all sorts of weird tradition things for fun.
Cornerstone. Are you able to see very clearly now?
You can't even fucking read it!
Locate the engraved plate. It was, of course, never found.
He read it out loud and still didn't get it. Trey says, remember when DC and a lot of construction records burnt down in the early 1800s? No, I guarantee you he does not know about the War of 1812. I promise you this man has never thought about the War of 1812 once in his life, like the degenerate that he is.
We know that they located it and found what...
Sorry, I'm just tired and cranky and I'm all over the place.
Whatever was inside from the previous civilization. These cornerstones hold something incredible inside them. And today, we have taken our research a massive step forward, where we all now know this information as well. Now, after getting done with Mullet's church, all in my opinion, of course, but my guess, after everything that we've seen, everything that we have shown, is that this Mullet guy is a character, and is most likely not a real person at this point. So let's go even deeper and expose even more.
This guy's name is My Lunch Break. He has 123,000 subscribers. This video was posted a week ago and has 35,000 views. That's certainly something, isn't it? Let me make sure I save this guy's channel. Oh, good. He's saved. Perfect.
More to the world.
Captain Squid says, but I thought men think about the War of 1812 at least once per week. No, that's just me.
He then went on to knock out the Carson City Mint, located in Nevada, where I'm thankful to report that this one is still standing today. But again, you can see that this building is bigger than we can see. The windows are going underground level, where the...
Again, it's a half basement. It's a half basement. There are also 3/4 basements. I've lived in every house I've lived in my life, because I'm in Michigan. Got a lot of basements in Michigan. Has had, at minimum, a 3/4 basement. I've known people with half basements.
Narrative is slipping up now. They can't even keep their own story straight. We know that Alfred B. Mullet already designed a building before this one.
Genuinely, I gotta ask, I understand that basements aren't a thing everywhere because depending on where like the water table is, it can get real wet. So that's why you don't really have basements in Florida, because it would be insane to keep all the water out constantly. Do people in states without basements not know half basements exist? Because I feel like half of Tartaria conspiracy theories are people just not knowing what a half basement is, or a 3/4 basement. Because they're always like, look at these windows sticking out of the ground! Yeah, it's a half basement. It's so you can have a basement that's under the ground that also has natural light. That's it. It's not nefarious. It's literally just a partially submerged basement that's only partly underground.
1861. We just covered it, but now they are stumbling and on the ropes. The building that housed the Mint was the first designed by Alfred B. Mullet, where we know that that is not true. A book of lies. We are exposing it all.
If you think that there's an inconsistency, then you can report that to the Wikipedia mods and maybe get it changed. Like, Wikipedia has problems. Normal encyclopedias have problems. People get information wrong. If you think that you found a discrepancy, then you can report that. That's fine.
Week after week. I appreciate every one of you and all of your support. Let's take a minute and thank all of our bad...
What's the difference between a half and 3/4 basement? A half basement is about half submerged. A 3/4 basement is about 3/4 submerged.
...members.
So like a 3/4 basement, when you're standing in the basement, there are like windows that are just kind of at the top of the wall. You can get light in from there.
All of our Patreons.
Also, historically, there would be coal chutes when people still used coal furnaces, and the delivery truck for the coal would straight up just drive and drop coal down the coal chute, so your basement would be full of coal.
And every single subscriber. This is no longer just me talking in my car on my lunch break. We have millions of views. We are all sharing information. When something happens, such as the fire at the Tremont Neighborhood Church on May 28th, 2024, we are...
Phyllis Filler says, speaking of traditions, when Queen Elizabeth II christened the Queen Mary II, they had a red button for her to push to release a metal arm that smashed the champagne bottle against the bow. Pretty sure it's because of how big the ship is. I actually think I've seen footage of that. Bossloth, thanks for 8 months, says, yay, it's my anniversary. I love it here. My mom's basement is a 3/4 basement, I think, because it has very small windows. It's an older house, so we have also a bathroom was full of old razors. Architecture's wild. Yeah, a lot of houses, the mirror thing just had a slot to throw razor blades. So, like, literally some people's houses, their bathroom walls are just full of razor blades. That's such a not my problem solution to how to dispose of razor blades, isn't it? We'll just stick them in the wall of the house. Someone will deal with it later. It's pretty emblematic of a certain generational mindset, I think. Just stick razors in the walls. I can't see it, so it's gone.
We're all seeing it happen live, sharing it with each other, and hopefully one day, the more people that are watching, the harder it will be for fires to destroy these incredible buildings. We are also over on X, Rumble, TikTok, Spotify, and Instagram. Now, I enjoy sharing these buildings and sharing their narratives, proving that they are from the previous civilization.
I think he likes sharing his narratives.
Not here as far back as we all thought. I enjoy sharing the ones that are still here today, so that if you're in the area, you can go and see them for yourself. Incredible places that have been hiding right in front of our faces for so many years. Because so many times, we see where they are demolished. Just like we see with this supposed post office that Mullet is also pinned to, where they called this thing Mullet's Monstrosity, built in 1880, we are told, and it was not received well. They didn't like this, if you can believe it. So they...
Again, it seems like a lot of Tartarian people don't understand that, like, architecture, like any art, is a matter of taste, and because they personally find this style of architecture or neoclassical architecture to be beautiful and the peak of, like, design, they assume that it is objectively better and don't understand why modern buildings do not look like that. They think it's a downgrade because aesthetically they like it less.
They knocked it down in 1939. So I'm not sure who wouldn't like this, but I definitely would.
Plenty of people! Like, I'm neutral on it. I don't really care either way. But, like, it's whatever. Looks like he's going for maybe kind of a French thing?
Mine one or even two of these in my town today. Where at the bottom here, they say, with the passing of time and changing of taste, this is now one of Mallet's best works, if you can believe it. So, clear destruction of the past, saying they don't like it, so they knock it down, and then switch their...
It was up for like 50 years before they knocked it down. It wasn't a rash decision, I assume after 50 years it was just time to build a new building.
Mind after it's gone. Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, this isn't, I don't think this counts as neoclassical. I don't know what this is. I'm not an architecture person, but this isn't neoclassical. This is maybe like, it reminds me of French something. I want to say Baroque, but it's not that, because that's like flying buttresses and shit from like cathedrals. Whatever this is. Someone here probably knows. Give me a word for it. Teach me a word.
Now, something that is still here today that you can go and see was this one. The Eisenhower Executive Office Building, located in Washington, D.C., designed by our guy, Mr. Mullet, where it was generally regarded with scorn and disdain, where Twain referred to this building as the ugliest building in America. and the president calling it the greatest monstrosity in America, with the incredible historians calling it Mullet's architectural infant asylum. Well, he resigned and then committed suicide just 2 years after this building.
Oh, that sucks! That sucks a lot! Poor fucking guy. Sorry they didn't like your buildings, man.
Supposedly completed. Also saying that this was the ugliest building in America. It's just our point here.
That's harsh.
Every single building. All the other ones.
I mean, here's my critique. Too many windows? It looks way too busy with that many windows that close together. I think it looks like he took, like, and again, no offense, I know the guy offed himself because of this and that fucking sucks. But just like to do an actual, like, just generic criticism, it looks like he took the copy tool in Photoshop and just copied the windows and, like, the columns and stuff. So it's not great, but, like, I don't think it deserved the criticism that caused the guy to be so depressed. That's sad.
We're better than this one? Nothing was worse? Really? I mean, I know for sure I can find, like, 3 buildings right down the road that look worse than this one. Imagine.
Your tastes are not objective.
All of America saying that nothing was worse than this. I'm so glad to say that it's still here today, where it does hold the fire narrative. Once on Christmas Eve in 1929, and again, December 19th, almost Christmas Eve, 2007. When it nears Christmas time, stay away from that building. The main office was destroyed in 1987, and shortly after, 2001, you know the date. I'm not going to say it on this channel ever again.
9/11 out of nowhere.
And we all know why. The 17th Street side of the building was randomly vacated and then destroyed. It also survived the 1957 demolition project. Here are some other buildings pinned to this guy's name, a very interesting character that needed to be shown to the world today. During a time period without power tools, able to construct so many buildings that would blow our minds today.
Design so many buildings. Design.
That if they were built in any of our towns, I think a lot of us would be happy about it. Building them in so many states, all during the same time period, where this guy must have been riding around on Seabiscuit and wasting zero time. Riding the heck out of that horse to get to his next destination. Over and over. Palaces.
You know trains existed then, right?
In Boston. Palaces in New York. Hitting 21 states in his career. Ohio, Nevada.
What's his point? His point is that he believes in ancient Tartaria and that buildings like this were not created by our civilization, but a secret hidden civilization much older than we know.
Nevada, Wisconsin, Maine, California, Oregon, South Carolina, Washington, D.C., Louisiana, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, and Connecticut. 21 states, never an issue. And we know that...
Yeah, there were trains! He took fucking trains!
These stories are just that. They are stories. All to hide what we know. And that is that there was a previous civilization here. And these are their buildings. And this Kentucky Derby winner didn't build them. He was the man pinned as the guy. Where him and his friends' dads were out busy farming. While he was at Farming University. Where his master work just wasn't fitting the style of the times. When Abe Lincoln was born in a shed, and Abe's mom was just complaining about the palaces, getting thrown together in a year or two, all over the country, where she demanded that it was time to switch to the incredible basic box style that we all see today.
Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism on the bingo card.
Get those boxes done. And I want them done slow. And before we close this thing off, I want to show you 2 clips of people excavating sites. This one in Iran, where they were digging to put a pool in, and instead uncovered the old world, showing even more evidence that where we live today and what
that's just archaeology
we think is the ground is really the ceiling. And there is so much more under our feet, so much more to our history than what we have been told. We are uncovering it all, 1 week at a time, gathering more and more people to share information and inform the world. And we are all just getting started.
Well, I'm done. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I appreciate you. Sorry for the late stream. Unfortunately, tomorrow's stream will also probably be a little late. I'd like to take tomorrow off. I can't. I'm broke as shit, so I can't. So you'll see me tomorrow. Anyway, we'll raid Cass. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you, Mr. Blast. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, Sunday is the patron-only live show. So, yeah, I'm gonna go eat and drink some water and take a shower. I'm gonna, like, leave right when after the raid because I'm very tired and need to get food. If Cass is talking to me like I'm in chat, feel free to let Casville know that I had to go get food. Alright, have a good night, everyone! I'll see you soon. Have a good weekend if I don't see you. Bye. Oh, Dillis Filler, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Appreciate ya. I made, hold on, the raid timer restarted because of that. Thank you, Dillis Filler, I really appreciate it. Adios!